Baby, I need these cats, and let me tell you, they were high as hell, too. Too much for a woman on a fixed income, honey. I ain't got no extra money.
Cassie Davis is the kind of star who feels like part of the family. Audiences grew up watching her laugh, cry, and preach wisdom on Tyler Perry's shows. But while her on-screen life is familiar, her personal life has been wrapped in mystery and disturbing rumors that refuse to fade. Some claimed Cassie Davis had left Hollywood behind. Others insisted she was secretly involved with a co-star. And one shocking headline about her health nearly broke the internet. Now, the truth about Cassie Davis's personal life is finally out in the open, and what she's revealed will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about her. The rise of Cassie Davis. Cassie Davis's presence on screen has never failed to command attention. To millions of fans across the world, she is iconic, a legendary figure in comedy and television, and one of the most recognizable faces in Tyler Perry's universe of unforgettable characters. Yet behind the radiant smile, the booming laugh, and the undeniable energy that defines her performances, Cassie Davis's personal life has been marked by deep privacy, struggles hidden from the public eye, and challenges that most people never knew she faced. The surface of fame told one story, but underneath, her life was shaped by faith, struggles, sacrifice, and a determination to rise no matter how heavy the weight on her shoulders. Cassie Davis was born on July 31, 1964 in Holly Springs, Mississippi, a small town with roots in strong religious values and a history that has shaped generations of African-American families. She grew up in a deeply devout Christian household, and this foundation of faith would not only anchor her personal identity, but also fuel her career decisions later in life. From an early age, Davis was drawn to music, performance, and the joy of expression through the arts. Yet her upbringing instilled in her a seriousness about responsibility, faith, and integrity that would define the path she walked. After finishing high school, Davis enrolled at Spelman College in Atlanta, one of the nation's most prestigious historically Black women's colleges. She chose to major in music, focusing her studies and her energy on cultivating her craft. But the road to graduation was not smooth. In her senior year, everything changed when she was informed that she would not be allowed to perform a religious song at her recital. Unfortunately, faith was not something Davis could compromise, and this restriction went against the very core of who she was. Instead of bending to the requirement, she stood her ground, a decision that ultimately cost her the chance to graduate on time. And so she left Spelman one credit short of her degree. This moment was a defining one. Many would have looked at it as a failure or setback, but for Davis, it was a reflection of her unshakable commitment to her beliefs. Yet the absence of that diploma stayed with her for decades, a lingering reminder of unfinished business. It was not until 2008, several years later, that she returned to Spelman and finally completed her degree. For her, walking across that stage was not about prestige, but about fulfilling a personal vow she had carried for half her life. Speaking about her decision to go back, Cassie said, "Coming from Mississippi, we were always taught if you start something, you finish it. Education really is necessary. I may be a part of a successful television show, but I still want to accomplish a lot more. This degree will open up so many more opportunities for me. Being a Black woman especially, people just talk to you and handle you differently. I haven't even graduated yet, and I've noticed a change already." She also made sure to use the opportunity to encourage others by saying, "I hope my story encourages someone to go back. I don't know which way the world is going, but if you have your degree, you will be ready." But even without a diploma back in the 1980s, Cassie Davis pursued her dream with relentless determination. Her first notable opportunity came in 1988 when she appeared in Spike Lee's musical drama School Days. It was a small role, but it placed her within a powerful circle of rising Black actors and filmmakers who were beginning to reshape Hollywood. From there, she worked steadily, picking up roles in television series that showcased her versatility. She appeared in Living Single, a show that captured the voice of a generation. She also appeared in Chicago Hope, a medical drama where she proved her ability to step into more serious roles. She also voiced characters in The PJs, the animated sitcom created by Eddie Murphy. These years were about laying bricks, building credibility, and earning respect within an industry that was rarely kind to women who looked like her. Her big break finally arrived in the mid-2000s when she crossed paths with Tyler Perry, a playwright and filmmaker who was revolutionizing African-American theater and cinema. Perry saw something in Davis that the wider industry had overlooked, and it was her ability to embody warmth, humor, strength, and authenticity all at once. In 2006, she appeared in Medea's Family Reunion and Medea Goes to Jail, and her performances stood out instantly. Audiences laughed with her, related to her, and saw in her a reflection of the aunties, mothers, and churchwomen they had grown up with. Davis had a rare gift. She could make people laugh without losing the humanity of the characters she portrayed. In 2007, Tyler Perry launched the sitcom House of Pain, and with it, Cassi Davis stepped into the role that would define her career, Ella Payne, the matriarch whose love, faith, and common-sense wisdom anchored the entire storyline. As Ella, Davis delivered hundreds of episodes of unforgettable performances, becoming a household name and a cultural staple. For many fans, she was more than a character on a TV screen. She was family, the trusted voice that reminded them of the strength and tenderness that holds homes together. The success of House of Pain elevated her into a space where her work was finally recognized for the force it had always been. Yet while the world celebrated her career, what many never realized was that Davis's personal life carried struggles that remained locked behind her private walls. A life marked by struggles. Behind the fame and laughter that Cassi Davis would one day become known for lies a chapter of her life few people are aware of. Long before she was celebrated as Ella Payne on House of Pain or adored by fans around the world, Cassi was living through some of the darkest moments of her existence. These years were marked by loss, addiction, and battles with herself that nearly consumed everything she had. Most fans don't realize that during the late 1980s, Davis was on a downward spiral. In interviews much later in life, she confessed that during this period, she had turned to illicit substances, and what had once been a bright and promising future in the arts dimmed as substance abuse took its toll. The addiction clouded her focus, eroded her discipline, and left her struggling to hold her life together. In her own words, she described herself during this period as out of order. Despite being raised in a devout Christian home, she acknowledged that she had strayed from the spiritual foundation that once gave her life meaning. As if battling addiction was not enough, tragedy struck in the most literal sense when she lost her home in a fire. The flames not only consumed her belongings, but they also stripped away the little stability she had left. Suddenly she was homeless, and for a period, she drifted, living without the security of a place to call her own, caught in the double storm of losing shelter and fighting an addiction that kept her from finding balance. Homelessness is never easy, but for Cassi, it was compounded by a sense of personal failure. She was no longer connected to the faith that had shaped her childhood, and she was far from the disciplined artist she had once envisioned becoming. But the good thing is, while many public figures prefer to bury the uglier parts of their pasts, Davis did not shy away from admitting that she had fallen apart. She recognized that illicit substances and despair had disconnected her from the life she was meant to live. Thankfully, the turning point came in 1991, and after years of struggling, Davis reconnected with the very foundation she had abandoned, her faith. She returned to Christianity with conviction, not as a ritual or performance, but as a lifeline. Faith once again became her anchor, the center around which everything else would be rebuilt, and this would become the start of a transformation. With her spiritual life restored, Cassi made a bold move to Los Angeles, the city where stars are made. Los Angeles represented opportunity, but it was also a place where the very temptations that had nearly destroyed her were present at every turn. But this time, things were different. Cassi entered into the entertainment scene with talent and a renewed sense of purpose, determined not to fall back into addiction. Rebuilding in Los Angeles was not glamorous. Cassi didn't immediately land starring roles or get showered with fame. Instead, she hustled, taking small parts and working her way up again. She auditioned for television shows, accepted minor roles, and took on projects that paid little but helped her grow. Slowly, the hustle began to pay off, and in the years after this transformation, Davis began to land roles that would eventually lead to her breakthrough. And while the personal battles she faced shaped her as an artist, it also left questions about what else was hidden in her private life. For years, fans speculated endlessly about her love life, because while her career was public, her relationships were kept behind closed doors. And when you find out why, you'll be shocked. Rumors surrounding her love life. For years, Cassie Davis's personal life stayed hidden in plain sight. On television, she was Ella Payne, the loyal wife and the heartbeat of House of Pain. Off-screen, though, she kept her relationships locked away, leaving room for endless guessing. Fans asked questions, tabloids spun stories, and online rumors filled the silence. But the truth is nothing like the gossip. Cassie's real love story didn't begin in Hollywood. Instead, it began in a Mississippi classroom. It survived distance, decades, and detours before finding its way back, proving that sometimes the greatest twists aren't written in scripts, but in real life. Cassie Davis's most important relationship began when she met Carrie Patton in the 3rd grade, and by the time they reached 6th grade, their friendship had blossomed into something deeper. It was the kind of young love that seemed destined for forever, but life happened, and they got pulled apart after high school. They drifted apart, each chasing their own future, and for years it looked as though their story had ended before it ever really had the chance to begin. But fate had other plans. In 2007, decades after their childhood connection, Cassie and Carrie reconnected, and what started as a reunion quickly reignited into something more powerful. They began dating, and over the next 10 years, they built a relationship grounded in history, trust, and the maturity that only comes with age. Cassie had endured private struggles and fought to rebuild her life, and finding Carrie again was a gift. After a decade of dating, Cassie Davis and Carrie Patton finally tied the knot on January 11, 2017. This was a new beginning and a long-awaited continuation of a story that started in childhood. In an interview, Cassie said, "I am so excited. We met in the 3rd grade, and of course you grow up and you go your separate ways, and we were apart for about 20 years. And divinely, God brought us back together in 2007. You know, you think you're committed, and you say you're committed, but life just has to live itself. And then afterwards, we're good. And so now, we're married." One of the most surprising aspects of Cassie's personal life is her openness about not having children. While many assume that a woman with her nurturing personality and on-screen maternal roles would naturally become a mother in real life, Cassie has made it clear that she has no passion for having kids. She has chosen not to share her reasons, and she guards that privacy carefully. For her, motherhood is something she embodies through her characters, her family ties, and her faith, but not through raising children of her own. Of course, with fame comes speculation, and for years Cassie's relationship with her on-screen husband, Levan Davis, fueled endless rumors. The two portrayed Ella and Curtis Payne with such natural chemistry on House of Pain that many fans became convinced they were married in real life. The rumor spread so widely that some people believed it to be fact. But Cassie has repeatedly clarified that she and Levan Davis are not romantically involved. Their bond is purely professional, built on years of working together and delivering performances that felt authentic because of their shared talent, not because of an off-screen romance. The truth is that Cassie's love life has been far more private and far more grounded than most would assume. She isn't one to chase the spotlight with her relationships. Instead, she has built her personal happiness quietly, holding on to the man who first won her heart in childhood and later became her husband after a lifetime of twists and turns. Yet even with love secured, Cassie's journey was not without turbulence. Beyond the warmth of her personal story, there have been controversies, whispers, and headlines that challenged her privacy and tested her resilience. The controversial side of Cassie. No career in the spotlight comes without controversy, and Cassie Davis's journey is no exception. Though she has always been known for her talent, warmth, and faith, the shows and projects she became most famous for were not always met with universal praise. Behind the applause and success, debates have raged about representation, creative choices, and whether the work she stood by was lifting communities up or reinforcing old wounds. The biggest criticism she's faced came from House of Pain, the series that cemented her as a household name. For many fans, Ella Payne became one of the most beloved television matriarchs, a woman of faith, patience, and common sense who held her family together. But not everyone saw the show as uplifting. Critics argued that House of Payne relied too heavily on stereotypes about black families, depicting loud arguments, exaggerated humor, and caricature-like personalities that, to some, felt like a step backward rather than progress. These criticisms echoed the larger debates that have followed Tyler Perry throughout his career. While Perry's productions have undeniably given opportunities to black actors and reached audiences often ignored by Hollywood, they have also been accused of recycling damaging tropes. Sadly, Cassie Davis found herself caught in the middle of this cultural conversation, with some fans wondering why she would align her career so closely with Perry's body of work. But her answer was clear. Cassie believed in the show's positive impact. In fact, she defended House of Payne as a series that brought families together, made them laugh, and offered messages of faith, forgiveness, and resilience. House of Payne ran for years, touching millions of lives, and this, in Cassie's view, spoke louder than any critic. She stood by the project not because it was flawless, but because she saw firsthand the joy it gave to audiences who rarely saw themselves reflected on mainstream television. But her loyalty to Perry's productions is all the more striking when you consider the truth that often gets overlooked. For years, Cassie Davis actually rejected Tyler Perry's offers. When Perry first approached her, she reportedly turned him down multiple times. She did not leap at the chance to join his films or plays, even though they were gaining traction in the early 2000s. For reasons she has not publicly detailed, she hesitated, stepping back from opportunities that others would have seized instantly. It was only later, when Perry cast her in Madea Goes to Jail in 2006, that she accepted, and the rest is history. That decision marked the beginning of one of the most successful collaborations of her career. But Cassie's career also faced setbacks long before House of Payne made her famous. One of the most surprising chapters came after the animated sitcom The PJs ended in 2001. Cassie had been a voice actor on the show, but when it was canceled, her career hit a pause. Work dried up, and for a time she stepped away from acting altogether. In a move that shocks many fans when they learn about it, Cassie took a job working as an assistant for Steve Harvey. It was far from glamorous. Instead of performing for an audience, she was handling behind-the-scenes responsibilities, organizing schedules, and doing the kind of work that most would never associate with a woman of her talent. But this period showed her resilience. She did what she had to do to keep moving forward, refusing to let pride stop her from earning a living. Eventually, she returned to acting, but the detour was a turning point in her life and a striking reminder of how unstable the entertainment industry can be, even for someone with talent as undeniable as hers. Cassie experienced rejection, self-doubt, and moments when her future in entertainment looked uncertain. And yet, she emerged stronger, proving that setbacks can serve as preparation for breakthroughs. But away from her career and the roles that made her famous, Cassie Davis has faced questions about her health. For years, rumors and headlines have suggested that something serious was going on behind the scenes, leaving fans worried and unsure of what to believe. The speculation grew louder until Cassie finally addressed the rumors herself. The shocking rumors. In 2023, Cassie Davis's name exploded across the internet for reasons that left her fans shaken. A viral article claimed that the beloved actress had died of lung cancer at the age of 58. The story spread rapidly on social media, with people reposting and reacting to it as if it were fact. Condolences poured in, tributes circulated, and for a moment, it seemed as though the world was preparing to say goodbye to a woman who had been a fixture of their television screens for nearly 2 decades. But the report was not true. Cassie Davis was alive, well, and still very much in the middle of her life and career. The false story was nothing more than a hoax, but its reach was so wide that it forced those close to her to step in. One of the most vocal defenders was Tyler Perry, the filmmaker and producer with whom Cassie had built her most enduring professional collaborations. Perry took to Instagram, furious that such a lie had been spread. He immediately debunked the rumors and then revealed that he had picked up the phone to call Cassie directly, unwilling to let rumors overshadow the truth. He said, "Can whoever is responsible for this please stop? You better be careful when you speak death over a child of God. This woman is loved by millions, and you're hurting a lot of people." Cassie is fine, living her best life with no worries, no cares, no social media, and no drama. She's waiting to shoot the next season of House of Pain. The truth is, fame brings visibility, but it also brings vulnerability. In the digital age, false information can spread faster than truth, and for a celebrity like Cassie, who values privacy, being the target of such a cruel rumor was both invasive and shocking. Yet, in true Cassie Davis fashion, she handled it with humor and directness, refusing to let the lie define her or drag her down. For her fans, the relief was immediate. The woman they thought they had lost was still here, still fighting, still working, and still laughing. But if such a rumor could take off so easily, what was the truth about Cassie Davis's health? Unfortunately, the speculation about Cassie Davis's health had roots in reality, but not in the way the rumors claimed. In March 2020, she was diagnosed with Bell's palsy, a condition that affects the facial nerves and can cause visible drooping on one side of the face. The diagnosis came as a shock to many of her fans, who noticed changes in her appearance and began asking questions. Rumors quickly swirled, with some assuming she had suffered a stroke or was battling something even more serious. Cassie herself set the record straight, confirming that it was Bell's palsy, not a stroke. She was also clear that while the condition was noticeable, it did not define her. In an interview, she said, "I figured when it is time for the Lord to straighten it out, He will, and it does not pain me, but it's very distracting to me to have. It's almost like a glitch, but I figure the Lord still loves me, and my husband has not skipped a beat and missed a beat. People who will sidetrack you or side-eye you because of a defect, or because of a disability, or because of something you have no control over, oh, that person doesn't need to be really in my life." Bell's palsy is not life-threatening, and though it can change how a person looks, it does not diminish who they are. And so the diagnosis was not an end for Cassie, but simply another challenge to face with the same determination that had carried her through addiction, homelessness, and career setbacks. Her attitude toward the condition has been inspiring. Instead of withdrawing from the spotlight or letting self-consciousness take control, she's continued acting. She kept appearing in front of the screens, proving that her value was never about perfection or appearance, but about the heart and talent she brought to her roles. In fact, Cassie has openly admitted that Bell's palsy has not affected her personality or her mental health. She remains the same woman, the same actress, and the same source of joy for her audience. In a culture that often places harsh pressure on appearances, Cassie's transparency is powerful. She's shown that vulnerability could exist alongside strength, and that living with a condition like Bell's palsy is not something to hide in shame, but something to face with courage. But after years of fame, setbacks, rumors, and health battles, the question remains, where is Cassie Davis today? And what does her life look like at 61? Cassie Davis's current status. At 61 years old, Cassie Davis is very much alive, thriving, and continuing to do the work that has made her a household name. Despite years of rumors, setbacks, and the relentless churn of internet speculation, she remains firmly present, with her career still tied to the franchise that introduced her to millions, Tyler Perry's House of Pain. The revival of the series, which began in 2020, has kept her in front of audiences who grew up with her character Ella Payne, and she continues to embody the role with the warmth, humor, and conviction that first drew fans to her nearly 2 decades ago. To most fans and viewers, the show is unthinkable without her, and her ongoing presence proves that her dedication to acting has not dimmed with time. Speaking about her longtime collaboration with Tyler Perry, she once said, "It's a dream every time he calls. It's like, 'You're calling me again? Oh God, thank you. So listen, I live for Aunt Bam and I live for Aunt Ella." Yet for all her visibility on screen and at public events, Cassie continues to guard her personal life with remarkable care. Unlike many of her peers, she has not embraced social media as a daily outlet. She has no official Instagram or Facebook accounts under her name, and the absence is deliberate. Privacy, peace, and a life free from constant online exposure are her priorities. In an era when many celebrities live through their feeds, Cassie's decision sets her apart. She is present enough to keep fans assured of her well-being, but removed enough to maintain the boundaries that give her life balance. Financially, her years of work in television, film, and stage productions have given her stability. As of 2025, her net worth is estimated at $6 million. The number reflects not only her long-standing role in House of Pain, but also her early film appearances, her time in voice acting, and her contributions to stage productions within Tyler Perry's network. More importantly, it shows a career that has been consistent, resilient, and rooted in values that kept her from straying even when fame brought temptations. Cassie Davis is still acting, still lending her talent to the role that millions adore, still walking in faith, and still reminding her audience that life at 61 can be purposeful and strong. Her story is proof of survival, perseverance, and steady growth. And if the rumors tried to write her ending too early, her life today proves that Cassie Davis is still very much in the middle of her story, with more to offer, more to share, and more to live. What do you think about the rumors surrounding Cassie's personal life? Drop your answers in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click on the next video on your screen, like this video, and subscribe to our channel for more updates.